Hi, I'm Radek. I'm a developer advocate at QuickNode, and in this video, I will walk you through Ethereum nodes. First, what are Ethereum nodes in general, and then 3 different types of Ethereum nodes: full nodes, archive nodes, and also briefly what are light nodes as well. At the end, we'll have a look at different Ethereum clients to run a node and also hardware requirements to run it. Ready? Let's go. To start with, what is a node on Ethereum? Ethereum blockchain is essentially a distributed network of computers that run the Ethereum client and are connected to other computers on the network. And these computers are what we call nodes. These nodes work together to store data, verify transactions, and verify the common blockchain database known as a ledger. There are different types of nodes, and each comes with specific roles and responsibilities. Let's start with full nodes. Full nodes store the entire Ethereum blockchain history: blocks, transactions, smart contracts, all the data, everything. Full nodes also store the latest state of the network for the last 128 blocks. What's a state? State means a snapshot of a blockchain at a given moment. So not just what happened, like a transaction sent or a smart contract executed, but also the state at that point in time, at that block, for the whole blockchain. So how much is in each wallet, what was the state of each smart contract, and everything else. And the most recent state is what all clients need to verify incoming transactions and use the network normally. What's important to understand also is that all states can be derived from a full node. So full node has the whole history of all transactions on Ethereum network. So a full node can theoretically regenerate all the older states on request. They do this by re-executing all the transactions in the EVM, Ethereum virtual machine, which can be computationally demanding when the desired state, desired block is far from the recent block. This means that accessing a historical state on a full node consumes a lot of computation. The client might need to execute a lot of blocks or even start from a genesis block. And this is where archive nodes come in. In addition to the complete blockchain history, like in the case of full nodes, archive nodes also maintain a record of the historical state of the Ethereum network for each and every block, which allows them to serve requests for historical data without needing to compute everything from scratch. And for this reason, for storing all the states for each block, archive nodes require significantly more storage space and resources than full nodes. There are also light nodes, but these have limited capabilities and usefulness. A light node is a node which only downloads Ethereum block headers, the minimum data needed to transact on Ethereum network. Light nodes outsource all of the other information from full nodes or archive nodes, so functioning in kind of a need-to-use mode. And because light nodes do not have full functionality and rely on full nodes for their data, they cannot participate in consensus, meaning that they cannot be validators. But light nodes can still be useful for some simple use cases like checking balances, validating if a transaction was confirmed, or checking some event logs. Now that we know the different kinds of nodes, the next question that comes up is, why even run a node? Who needs that? So running a node helps keep the Ethereum network decentralized, more diverse, and because of that, decentralization and diversity also more secure and safer. It also lets you directly interact with Ethereum without relying on other nodes or with additional level of privacy where your requests don't hit any other node and just go to your Ethereum node. Or alternatively, if you don't want to manage hardware and software to run your own Ethereum node, you can get an optimized Ethereum endpoint with QuickNode. Just go to QuickNode, create a free account, choose Ethereum network mainnet, and you will have one running literally in 2 minutes from now. With QuickNode, you also get both full nodes and archive nodes by default. You don't need to enable anything else. you'll have all the historical data that you might need. But if you want to run your own node, then the next question to consider is what Ethereum client should you run on your node? And there are multiple clients, both for consensus and for execution. You should definitely check clientdiversity.org. And these are all the main clients that you can choose for both. The execution is for running an Ethereum network. Consensus is for staking, for verifying. These are the main ones for execution. Geth, it has too much of a market share, which is not a good thing because it affects decentralization, being more centralized, and it affects security as well, because an error in one software client can affect the whole network, because that can be a majority of the network. So choose anything but Geth at the moment. Nethermind, Aragon is a good choice, Besu as well. And same goes for consensus. With consensus clients, it's better. Prism and Lighthouse are around 38, but it's also good to choose, for example, Teku or Nimbus. Now that was software. And what type of hardware do you need to run? If you want much more details, I have a video about Ethereum staking where I go through all the steps from buying hardware to installing software to run your own node step by step. So you can check it somewhere around here. But if you want a quick comparison of hardware requirements, then this is it. In general, requirements are quite similar for both full and archive nodes, with one exception: disk capacity. So CPU for both full node and archive node needs to be relatively fast with 4 or more cores. RAM, as usually, the more the better, but at least 16 gigabytes, you should be fine with that. 32 if you can afford it. And SSD, choose the fast one in both cases, NVMe. And then depending if you want the full node or archive node, for the full node, I recommend 2 terabytes. You probably can live with 1, but you would be close to capacity. So 2 is much better. And for the archive node, it's at least 3 if you decide to use Aragon, but could be as much as 14 and more terabytes if you use Geth, for example. And obviously you also need a stable and fast internet connection with at least 25 megabit bandwidth to keep your node online and fast. And now you know the difference between a full node and an archive node, and what a light node does, and what are the requirements for running your own node. Now, either go and set up one yourself or be up and running in 2 minutes with QuickNode for both full and archive nodes. And as always, good luck and see you soon.